What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Sales Vitamin Podcast. We have got a treat today. Biz Bites with JK. We've got the founder, Jon Kronemeyer, on. He's going to talk sales. He's a veteran. He's been there, done that. Jon, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, John, for having me, man. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, I know the listeners are going to get a ton of vitamins today. I've been following Jon on not only his podcast, but on his LinkedIn and where he's at on social media. So you guys are in for a treat today. His podcast, Biz Bites with JK, is really, really good. I'm going to encourage you to go check that out. Make sure you do it and download that, subscribe to it. So with that being said, Jon, let's jump right into it. On from a sales standpoint, what's the biggest sales miss that you see right now that's out there in the professional sales world?
You know, I was thinking about this one, and you know, there's so much of that. Fill your pipeline for $29.99 a month right now. Yeah. There's so much challenges in our sales industry with how to capture new opportunities, how to fill pipeline, how to find prospects. And, you know, I think right now people are trying to take the easy way and capture the quick fix of sales. And whether you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, or a large company, you know, I would say that right now people are getting, and I'm guilty of it as well, to try to, you know, I looked into some of these things and I just, you know, there's some that are great, but I think right now there's just so much content out there trying to publish the easy fix to sales. You know, grow your sales quick, fill your pipeline quick, press this button, pay me $29.99, and you're gonna have thousands of leads in your funnel. And it's I think people are getting caught up in that because, as you know, there's real no easy silver bullet to prospecting well.
Yeah. It's you're either going to put in the work and to put it in sports term, to hit the balls on the range, you know, to do well on the course. What you hear this a lot too, and I thought about it. You know, cold calling's dead. You know, what do you think about that? And I think I know your answer, but tell the listeners, you know, your thoughts on cold calling and how you feel about that.
I mean, cold calling is not dead. If everybody's listening right now, okay, cold calling is not dead. It's far from it, actually. In fact, now with the technology, now with social media and all the abilities you have to connect to people, cold calling is stronger than ever, and it should be looked upon that way. It kind of goes back to that first question. There's no easy fix. So cold calling aspect of sales is still the best way, not the easiest, but it is still the best way to generate opportunity. So, you know, I see a lot of those people saying that the new way is this cold calling. It's archaic. I'll tell you, man, that phone, pick up the phone, have a conversation, try it on the phone, get that aspect of it going in the sales side. It's still going to be the fastest way to close a sale versus taking the longer way, which is fill that pipeline with some magical process and have somebody else do it for you. So I mean, cold call it's alive, it's well, and I think it's always going to be there, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's how, I mean, you and I met for the lack of a better word, cold calling, reaching out.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it's done. You also talk about the sniper approach.
Yeah.
And you talked about that a little bit. Talk about that, and what's that about?
Yeah. You know, when I got into sales, I started with my manager giving me no training. And I think this is a lot of the cases back in the day, and gave me my account list, and they basically said, go. And that was my training. Go figure it out. And there's so many challenges that we have as sales individuals, but what my challenge is in the sales process, it may not be what your challenge is from a sales perspective.
Right.
And what one leader challenge maybe is not necessarily what the next company's leader is going to be. So, what I learned real quick when I started to get into management was that each individual has their roadblocks and their obstacles, and they're not all the same. So to go in there with a cookie cutter process or a one-step process to fix it all, it's not the right way of doing things, and it doesn't necessarily work all the time quickly. And so the quickest way I found to execute, to get past roadblocks, to unlock the challenges that people are having in the sales process, is to sit with them individually and develop a program independently of what their challenge is. And as a sales leader or sales manager, if you don't know your people and aren't talking to your people constantly and developing goals and objectives independently, one-on-one, then you're not gonna scale the business. You're not gonna get each person's capabilities, rock star capabilities exposed, because everybody's different. So my sniper approach is really, you got to go in, you got to dial into each person's challenges and obstacles and put a plan together that works for them. A lot of people have different intellectual capabilities. A lot of people are, different from you have some salespeople that are introverted versus extroverted. So you can't tell somebody that's introverted to go in there and be bubbly and be happy and, just come on out, be gregarious and knock it out of the ballpark, because that's not their style. So you got to be able to functionally put something together for each individual person in order to execute what their challenges are, fix it, and get them past what roadblocks they may have.
Yeah. What about how you've been working with your team right now, your sales? How are you managing them now during this pandemic period, and how that's changed? Is there anything special you've been doing? How have you been working through that?
Yeah, I mean, nobody could predict COVID. It's been a challenge for a lot of organizations. I found the difference for us is we did two-step process. The first one was a customer engagement process that we started immediately when COVID came about. So as soon as you couldn't be on the road, we started and implemented this, that they had to reach out, touch base, and have touch points with all their customers throughout every week. They were still sales. They weren't not working. They were just working from home. So the role changed a little bit. They had to adapt to the phone and adapt via email and text a little bit more on the communication side, and hone in their skills a little bit. So we worked on those types of things with our team. But the customer engagement plan was put in action right away. And then as we started to kind of come out, because up in Canada here, we're a little bit different in the process of COVID than you all down there. But we started the customer proactive plan, which was, now that we have the engagement, now we're going to start to proactively put some sales process together, put some ideas and concepts with the customers, reach out to them, develop goals, plans, and objectives, what they're looking at getting into once we get beyond COVID, when they open up their doors. What are going to be their next steps, and see how we could put together some sort of ideas, concepts, and plans so we can be a part of that growth, rather than just sit there where a lot of our competitors were reactive. An email came in, they reacted. A phone call came to them, they would answer, but there was nothing from a proactive level where they were trying to engage and then develop a plan. So we were the first ones they were thinking of, whereas our competitors were kind of sitting back and just waiting for this to happen. So it's worked out very well. We had record months during COVID, and where I thought, because as a sales leader like you're always cautious on the sales and what's going to happen, especially right now. We still seem to be capturing traction every month, even beyond COVID. So it's been very good for us.
Nice. Talk about your sports background. I know that's that's part of who you are, and how's that helped you from a professional sales standpoint throughout your career?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing hockey like most Canadians.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned into football when I was actually, the first time I had ever put a helmet on was in grade 9. And I had to, I wasn't sure I was going to play the game, to be quite honest with you. I was a little nervous on it, but I started playing in grade 9 and had a pretty successful high school career, and ended up going into college and played ball there. And, when I thought about this actually not too long ago, how sports has impacted me as a leader. And, the one thing I would say is that, especially in the community of whether it be a team sport, so whether it be hockey or baseball or football, it's the one thing you learn real fast is how to work with different personalities, how to work with different types of coaches, so different types of leaders. You have all kinds when you're playing through sports, especially in hockey and football. You're some cases you're having positional coaches changes every year. So you really get to learn how to adapt to different personalities and how to be more, how I like to put customer centric, but in those cases it was coach centric.
Yeah.
You couldn't challenge, but you had to adapt to their style. And then, from the team concept, as a sales leader, and I'm sure it's important and should be important to every sales leader, is to develop a culture within your organization that functionally people work as a unit and as a team. And I learned that in sports big time, and I think it's so important because I've been a part of really challenging teams and I've been a part of championship teams. And the difference was the culture within the organization. And it's the same thing with sales. I've been a part of sales organizations where you had to break it all down and get rid of people in order for that. You had to rebuild the culture. And then I've also been a part of organizations where the culture has been tremendous and you could see the success in the sales. You're leaders in your industry, you're leaders in your market, you're ahead of the competition. And that starts with the culture that you're a part of. So it was, not everybody's sports driven, but being a part of a club or an organization or a team, I think is so vital to learn those two things.
Yeah, I think that culture piece is big. You learn that in sports pretty quick. What do you think from a culture standpoint? What makes a good sales culture, or in your opinion, what drives a good sales culture versus maybe one that's not so good?
Leader. I've done a lot of deep dive on this topic, to be honest with you, John. And we were just having this. I'm a part of a mastermind group on Friday nights, and we were just having this same discussion. Can a culture build a leader, or does a leader build the culture? And it is so. We all came to the same conclusion. It is so important that the leader builds the culture. From a leadership perspective, if you don't have a relationship with your team, if your team doesn't have a relationship with each other, and you're not putting the foundation together to have a good sales, a healthy sales culture, it's not gonna develop. It all starts at the top, and it's the same thing with organizational culture. It starts with the CEO.
Yeah, absolutely. So the mental side versus the skill set side, what do you feel is tougher for the sales professional? Is it learning that skill set to sell, or is it that mental toughness? And I know sports helps you in that because I was from a sports background as well. But what are your thoughts on that when you talk to your people, or when you're out selling yourself? Is it the mental piece that you really, if I was to say, your sales performance is a percentage, how much of that percentage is the mental piece versus having those technical skills?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question because there's a lot of, I've seen it before where technical people or technical representatives, and listen, there is such a vital part of any organization to have those professionals on staff that know product and service in and out. But I think the connection with your customer is an emotional connection. It really is the driving factor for the growth. Yes, you need to have the education on the product and service. Yes, you should be able to talk the talk. But I will argue day in and day out that if you don't have certain skill sets like being authentic, having your emotional intelligence, having empathy, being able to find solutions for problems, and earning trust, gaining respect, if you're not able to do that from an emotional set, it's you're going to have a heck of a time, because you can go in there and talk product all day long, but if there's no connection to your customer, that's you're not going to get too far.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. What do you think from a sales training standpoint right now in the professional sales industry? Where do you think we're headed?
You know, it's it's funny. I was just having this conversation with one of my reps actually yesterday. So from a sales training perspective, I think that more and more people can do a lot more virtually. I think there's a lot of noise right now in social media. What to do right, what to do wrong, what's happening, what is wrong, what's right. How to go about training your team, how to go about training your customers. And you know, there's some areas where, like yours, we were just talking, you can't see customers. So how do you deliver that information efficiently, effectively, and you know that they get it, and they're still impacted by the relationship, even by the Zoom thing. So, you know, I think that it's the sales training concept from a connection to your customer is never going to change, but you know, you're going to have to be able to adapt to this type of environment more. And as a sales representative, sales professional, and a sales leader, your team, you guys, everybody's got to be on board and understand how to do this effectively and efficiently. It's just going to be, I think it's going to be the new norm, to be quite honest with you. And you're going to start to see certain aspects of companies saying, why are you traveling when you could do Zoom meetings? And you're going to see that a lot, right or wrong. I'm a big believer in the human interaction.
Yeah.
But right or wrong, companies are going to put those restrictions on. So as a sales individual, you had better hone your skills on how to do this type of thing, and how to be efficiently being able to connect with your customer virtually like this.
Yeah.
And deliver that knowledge.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I think that being able to do what you and I are doing right here on Zoom and talk, but I think also the ability to write and
Yep.
communicate effectively from a message standpoint, because if you can't do that, it kind of goes back to what you were talking about. You know, you got to be able to communicate that message, and you're going to have to do it in writing or on Zoom. In person obviously is the best, but
Yeah.
you know, but if you can't communicate.
Well, and that's been the one positive of COVID and the one negative. And it's the same thing. The ease of communication has changed. Whereas before, you were eager to get in front of a customer, or you would pick up a phone, or you would shoot an email, and it was typically a personal email.
Yeah.
Now with everything that COVID has from COVID, there's been so many strategic marketing applications, strategic sales campaign applications, that you can now send 150 emails to all your customers with a click of a button. Nothing's personalized, nothing's authentic, nothing's genuine, but in the sales professional mind, it's quick and easy.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll send a notice to everybody, one click of a button now, because we're on this new system and it allows me to do that. But that is going nowhere from an authentic creativity, and your customers will pick up on that. They get it. They get it. I mean, I just saw a clip from Mike Weinberg. He was I just saw his post on LinkedIn, you know, and same thing. I mean, he actually went back and challenged the person that sent a generic email saying, this is awful. This is awful.
Yeah.
Stop sending these things right away. So if that's one coach to another coach, you imagine what a customer is feeling when they get all these generic spam type of emails from their customer base. They know when it's not authentic.
Yeah, you can tell right away. I mean, I can tell.
Absolutely.
You know, unless you're just sending something out to inform a group really informally,
For
and
sure,
you're not trying, that's okay. But to pitch or to sell or try to engage, you can tell right away if they don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just tell right away.
Yeah.
And I think technology has really, I think it's like you said, it's helped that aspect of it. But it's also hurt it a little bit, because you have the tool to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I think you could look at it from both sides, because I think on an outside, I've come from the, we have outside sales teams, and
Right.
so we have a block of customers that are there's always new ones, and there's always a new customer acquisition process, but we don't do mass campaigns. It's not part of our world, but
Right.
the ease of the email, the ease of standing behind a computer and clicking a mass email still applies. I just had this situation where we're running a certain promotion on one of our product lines. And instead of sending independent emails, because not every customer in that territory is applicable to this product.
Right.
My one rep sent a mass email, and it's like, what, there's no effectiveness to that.
Yeah.
One, the people that need the product can't ask questions to you because they know it's a simple click of a button. And the other ones that aren't applicable to that product, what are they thinking? Well, why are you sending this to me? Don't you know my business?
Yeah.
It instantly puts a negative context into their brain about who we are and our value to them. And that's the problem with the mass shootings, the mass email, the mass clicks. And that's where I think, people are getting a lot more comfortable sitting in their desks and hiding behind the computer or doing the mass engagement. And it's got to be genuine. It's got to be authentic, and it's got to be individual.
Yeah. From a social standpoint, how are your reps or you? I know you're very active on social media and LinkedIn, but from just a personal branding standpoint, is that something you encourage your people to do? I know you yourself very involved.
Yeah, and yes, we do. The short answer, John, is yes, we do. Could we get better at it? I think everybody can.
Yeah.
Even me. And people have to understand what they're trying to accomplish by doing that. It's not to go out and gain new business. It's to build brand familiarity with you and your organization. And that's really where the social media should be leveraged, is brand familiarity. So the more they're promoting themselves, you're going to promote the company you work for.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you're promoting yourself.
Right.
And I encourage that. I don't know if my rep is going to stay with me forever, but your brand stays with you forever.
Right.
So promote yourself, get active out there, talk about what you're feeling, talk about what you're seeing out there, challenges you're running into. There's so many sales individuals in our industry and all across the globe that could have value from one little post that you happen to put out. So yeah, we encourage it. I think it's the only way that you're going to accelerate as a salesperson nowadays anyway. I think you have to have some platform, and you don't need to be socially on all of them. Pick one. If it's Instagram, it's Instagram. If it's LinkedIn, it's LinkedIn, but own it and build that brand. And I think there's tremendous value to that.
What are some of the sales resources that you're using right now that really that you would say, you know what, I would recommend these resources to, any of the sales professionals out there, whether it's an app or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, there's a few that I know. We both love Canva.
Yeah.
So if you're active on social media and you're active on your branding, Canva is a fantastic one. I use a ton of in-app stuff like PhotoGrid and InShot for Instagram posts and things of that nature. From I'm hoping your readers, as I hope mine, or listeners, excuse me, as I hope mine are reading. There's a ton of great content, so I try to surround myself with great individuals that have great content. Jeb Blunt, Mike Weinberg, Larry Levine, Mark Hunter. They're, those are probably the big four right there that are tremendous. Anthony Iarino. And then from, I don't know. And personally, I would say this to everybody. I don't care, but you should be using a CRM. And we have one in our organization. I also have one that I use through HubSpot. It's a great application. It's free. So if there are solopreneurs or entrepreneurs out there that are getting into sales, that are starting to build pipelines, keep track of it through CRM applications like HubSpot. That one seems to work.
HubSpot's been making headway. I mean, I have nothing to do with HubSpot whatsoever, but from a CRM system, I know a lot of people that are using that.
It's nice because it fully integrates everything. You can do marketing campaigns right from that, strategic sales campaigns. You certainly ties into all your social media from a dashboard perspective. It's an extremely powerful system, and a lot of outside companies are integrating now their system through HubSpot, including Google. So any email that filters in through your Google, if you're a Gmail-based email system or G Suite, it goes right through your HubSpot. So yeah, it's a very powerful system. I encourage a lot of people to take a look at that as well.
They've got a scheduler as well, like Calendly. Similar.
They do.
Similar.
Yep, they do. Yep. That's one I use for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Now, those are things that I feel from a sales professional standpoint, all those tools you just talked about, those add value. I mean, those are things that they either save you time or they make you more efficient, and they help you increase sales.
Yeah.
From that standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, it's a blend. Read your books, read articles, go through, because not everything's applicable to you. Figure out what works for you. I mean, I read a ton of books, like I know you do too, John.
Yep.
And I read your ebook, which is tremendous, by the way. And
Thank you.
I encourage everybody to check that out. But that's all knowledge that is at your fingertips. Read an hour a day. Larry Levine says, he speaks about that heavily. Educate yourself.
Yeah.
If you're not doing it, you're falling behind the trend. So there's that aspect to it. And then from the other side of it is your brand. And so rather than just throw a post out there, make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Throw some captions in there, post it on YouTube, get a channel going, and those between Canva and InShot, and I use an app called App Caps or Auto Caps, excuse me. Between that, you can make a post look really, really cool.
Oh yeah.
And it just enhances your brand too. So
talk about Biz Bites, and let's let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, how they can get on check out the podcast and all that information to get in touch with you. Yeah,
for sure. So, John, sales is simple. I'm not one of those guys that's going to talk with the big words and the 8-syllable words to make a sales process sound really complicated. Sales is really easy if you follow the fundamental principles of what you have to do. And what I developed is I developed Biz Bites with JK because I found in our social media world, things were getting really, really convoluted and complicated about the sales process. And I started it 3.5-4 months ago. And it really is designed to be quick, short, straight to the point information about sales and leadership and relationship building. And that's what it was designed for. And, I've been getting some great people on. It's starting to really channel down that sales pipeline, which I'm really excited about. I just had yourself as a guest, which, it was a ton of great content. So again, I thank you for that. And I'm excited to launch that episode. So yeah, it's an exciting thing for me. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. People can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably my most used social media outlet. Okay. And then also I have, I just launched my website at www.JKRONY.
Yep. I saw that. It's cool. Looks good.
Yeah.
Looks real good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see yours too. I know yours is coming.
Yeah, it is. It is. Probably a couple more weeks.
All right. Good.
It won't be as detailed as yours, but I think it'll be good for what I need it for.
Oh, that's all that matters, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I ask everybody on the podcast, I ask them this question. And so you've got one sales vitamin, and that's it for today. And you're speaking with a group of sales professionals. You can only leave them with one sales vitamin piece of advice to help them improve their performance. What's the Biz Bites? What's John's one sales vitamin?
Fire your customer. And I say that with all sincerity. If you're doing all the right things and you're constantly looking for new opportunities and you're looking for new customers, new customer acquisition, your pipeline's healthy. If you're a territory manager, and you should always be evaluating your region. And it's something that I do on a regular basis with all my teams, with every organization I've been with. Not everything is forever. And you need to evaluate where you're at, and you need to evaluate who as a customer still provides value. And that value may be a friendship, that value may be sales, that value may be something else. But if they're not adding value to your territory, fire them and find somebody new. It's a great way of managing your region, and it's a great way of continuous growth within your territory.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. All right, everybody, all you listeners, make sure you get to jkrony.com. That's the new website, and to Biz Bites. That's the podcast. If you get to that website, you'll find the podcast. It's all there. And Jon Kronemeyer is today's guest on the Sales Vitamin Podcast. Awesome to have you, Jon. Ton of vitamins that were dished out. I think this will be an instant classic for us. So, man, I'm excited you were able to get on today. And man, I appreciate you hopping on board.
Thanks for having me, Jon. Really appreciate it. It was fun.
Awesome.